Peace, family. It's a beautiful day in April. Happy New Year to the Israelites who know what this Julian calendar and Gregorian calendar is about. This is the real New Year. I do believe it's Deuteronomy 16:1. You know, the month of Abib, when the Israelites came out of Egypt. They didn't come out in the winter. They came out around this time. Okay, let me get there really quick. Let me see, because I'm a little rusty on the scriptures, but I'm trying to do this in the spirit. And first and foremost, we like to give thanks to the Most High God for waking us up to this knowledge. Okay, yes, it is Deuteronomy 16:1. Observe the month of Abib and keep the Passover unto the Lord thy God. For in the month of Abib, the Lord thy God brought thee forth out of Egypt by night. So you can't come out of a place by night on a long journey in the winter. You're going to freeze to death. So that's just common sense. The month of Abib, that's New Year's Day in the Hebrew, okay? So, Happy New Year. It was around late March or April or somewhere along those lines, okay? That's the real New Year. Okay, today's topic is going to be about UFOs and chariots. Because, you know, when you get to talking about UFOs, people like to label you a sci-fi addict or somebody that's paranoid that wears a tinfoil hat. But if you go to church and you call yourself a Christian or a Baptist, you can't really write UFOs off. That's a huge misconception, to write people off and be dismissive and label them crazy. They not crazy. Your very Bible speaks of chariots and UFOs. So we're going to get that, and hopefully we can clear up some misconceptions and we can be edified together about UFOs and things of that nature. Once you get into the scripture, right in the beginning, you know, in Exodus chapter 13, it talks about it talks about chariots. I'm looking for that, family. Let me get that. Okay. All right. The Most High God went before the Israelites when he brought them out of Egypt. From the Egyptians, he went before them in the daytime in the pillar of a cloud. There was a chariot. And at nighttime, he went by them in a pillar of fire so they could see. So these are chariots. These are UFOs. All right? And we're going to prove that. Okay, the book of Exodus chapter 13 verse 21. And the Lord went before them by day in the pillar of a cloud to lead them the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, to go by day and night. Okay, verse 22. He took not away the pillar of the cloud by day, nor the pillar of fire by night from before the people. So the Israelites was following a vehicle, a vessel. We know this in the next chapter, in Exodus chapter 14. All right, we gonna get that. Exodus chapter 14 verse 10. All right, we gonna get that, because we gonna get this understanding right now. In some contexts, the terms gold, heaven, tree, righteousness, holy, all these things have biblical definitions. All the time, these things don't mean the superficial meaning. You have to go scripture by scripture, precept upon precept, line upon line, to get the real biblical meaning of what's being told to you. Okay? So with that being said, we're going to do our best to get all the understanding that we can get. We're going to go to the next chapter in the book of Exodus, and we're going to get the 10th verse. The book of Exodus 14 verse 10 says, And when Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them. And they were sore afraid, and the children of Israel cried out unto the Lord, Okay? So the Egyptians is following the Israelites, trying to wipe them out. Because at this point, the Israelites is out of Egypt. Because Pharaoh said he let them go, but it was in his heart really to kill them. Okay? So let's see. We're going to jump down to the 20th verse. The book of Exodus chapter 14 verse 20 says. Now, we're going to start at verse 19. And the angel of God, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them. And the pillar of the cloud went before their face and stood behind them. Verse 20. And it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel, and it was a cloud of darkness to them, but it gave light by night to these, so that the one came not near the other all the night. So this was a long journey through the night. Your pastor won't tell you this, that the Egyptians followed the Israelites for a long time. So the chariot went between the Egyptians and the Israelites the whole way. And the Egyptians couldn't see, but the Israelites could see. This had to be a big vessel, a big vehicle, a big UFO to blind these people, the Egyptians, and give light to these people, the Israelites. Okay, that's how we know it was a vehicle. That's how we know that it was a chariot. Okay, we're going to get the book of 2 Kings chapter 2 verse 11. Because we like to talk about Elijah going up into the chariots. That's a UFO. You never seen nothing like this. Okay. The book of 2 Kings chapter 2 verse 11. And it came to pass, as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder, and Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. You think a tornado took him up into heaven? No. This is a vehicle. It's telling you a chariot and horses of fire. These are vehicles. This is transportation. It took him up like a whirlwind into heaven. It flew off with him. Notice how this vehicle always gets between the two. It got between the Egyptians and it got between the Israelites. It got between Elisha and it got between Elisha. Okay? And it took one of them and it guided one of them. It guided the Israelites and it took Elijah. Okay? So this how you know that this is a vehicle. You know, to you people that are woke or conscious, us Bible believers, we don't believe things that are too far out. It's not like our doctrines don't cross paths on certain topics. Y'all doctrines cross paths with ours on UFOs. We believe in that too. Okay, us Israelites, we believe in that too. These UFOs, they really not talked about in the churches. Okay, so we got Exodus 13, we got Exodus 14, we got 2 Kings 2:11. Let's go to the New Testament, because Christ jumped on a UFO. Because like I told you, the word cloud has a biblical meaning. It's not just a cloud in the sky. It's not just this white, puffy, cottony looking thing. It has a biblical meaning. Okay, this is the book of Luke chapter 1 verse 9. Okay. Let me see. Or it could be. No, I take that back, family. It's the book of Acts, chapter 1, verse 9. My apologies. This is the book of Acts, chapter 1, verse 9. And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. So Christ, this is after Christ died. He walking with the apostles, and he talking to them, and he telling them this and that. They having a conversation, and while they talking, he's taken up into a cloud. This is a vessel. This is a ship. This is a unidentified flying object. Okay, this is transportation. Okay, your pastor won't talk about these things too much.